Ahoy folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So we're carrying on with our 2026 update to all of my Darktide guides, and we've finally gotten to the Zealot. Probably the class I've spent the most time playing. I really do like the Zealot. It's a very fun, very satisfying class to play. So as you can see, there are some weird things on your screen. For example, lots and lots of wounds. What are we doing? Oh no, it's not the meme build, is it? Are we teaching people meme builds? No, it's called a Martyrdom build, and it's very good, so shut up about it. Anyway, what are we using, I hear you cry? We're using the Relic Blade, because it's great. And the modifiers are as such: damage, finesse, heat management, power output, and mobility is our dump stat. Perk-wise, we're going with Carapace and Unyielding, because basically how the breakpoints work on this build, we are pretty much good against more or less everything apart from Carapace and Unyielding. We don't need the damage to hit a breakpoint. Like, also, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, basically, back in Vermintide and Vermintide 2, you would have to hit very specific things on Curios, for example, damage to Skaven, damage to Storm Vermin, blah, blah, blah. You would need to hit these levels of damage for breakpoints. Doesn't work exactly the same in Darktide, but it is the closest I can kind of describe it. So with Carapace, the extra damage does help you basically get through the armor a bit better, but with Unyielding, it's literally just damage on top of whatever, so it just gives us more damage against them, so we kill them quicker, etc., etc. I've made a really crap job of explaining that. Anyway, moving swiftly along. Blessings wise, we are going for Cranial Grounding. Reduces the heat build-up by 6% and increases weak spot damage by plus 4% for 3 seconds on chained weak spot hit, stacking 5 times. And then we've got Rampage. Hitting at least 3 enemies with an attack increases your damage by 36% for 3.5 seconds. Incredibly easy to do because the Relic Blade is king massive. Then we have got our ranged weapon, which is a Spearhead Bolt Gun. Modifiers are as such: damage, reload speed, collateral, and stability, and mobility is our dump. Perk-wise, we're going with Flak and Unyielding, Flak being the most prevalent armor type in the game, and Unyielding so we can lay down fire on bosses if we can't get close to them, which more often than not you can't, because they're flailing around, being annoying, knocking people off edges. This is just going to give you some good hearty damage against them. Blessings wise, we're going with Pinning Fire for 5% strength for every enemy you stagger, stacks 5 times, and Shattering Impact for target receiving plus 4 stacks of 2.5% brittleness. Brittleness is rending, which you apply to a target. Rending is applied to you. Brittleness you apply to a target. On direct projectile hit, debuff lasts 5 seconds and can have a maximum of 16 stacks. If you do not want to go with brittleness, there are other options, and we shall have a quick look at them now. So if you don't want to go for brittleness or shattering impact, sorry, you can go for puncture. It's a decent choice. Gives you bleed against things. Bleed's very powerful. All dot damage at the moment is still very good. We've already taken Pinning Fire. It's a terrible idea. Don't tell them to take that. Jesus. Surgical for crit, not amazing, but you can also go for something like Glory Hunter for toughness regen, or Inspiring Barrage. These are very defensive talents. So Shattering Impact, you can switch for Puncture. Inspiring Barrage, Glory Hunter, Fire Frenzy's okay. But I mean, if you, I always suggest, if you're not sure on something, just test it out. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. Just fiddle around a bit, see what you think. But there you go. That's the other blessings you can take. Now, for the Curios, 2 of them are twinned, which is a +1 wound, toughness, combat ability regeneration, and stamina regeneration. It's the same on both of them there. And then we've got one which is toughness, combat ability regeneration, and damage resistance to snipers. You are very vulnerable to snipers as a zealot, because you're basically made of cracker bread. But still, if you don't want to take damage resistance to snipers, you can switch that to gunners. If you really want to, you can get rid of all of the stamina regen and have sniper, gunner, gunner, or sniper, gunner, sniper, whatever you fancy. Again, test things out. Stamina regen is very useful, but it is also very unforgiving. As I said, you will lose lots of damage resistance against things. So if you mess up, you will feel it. So don't feel like you can't edit these things and just take what you want. I mean, you could just get rid of the combat ability regeneration if you wanted to and go for +5 health across all three. You know, you'd lose 12% ability regeneration, but you would gain 15% health. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. Try things out, see what you think. Anyway, let's jump into the talents and see what we're using. We're using Backstabber for 25% damage on backstab and flanking hits. It's not so much the backstab hits, it's the flanking hits. They're very generous with their sort of example of what flanking is. You've got quite a lot of wiggle room for it. We've also got Disdain, 5% damage on your next melee attack for each enemy hit, stacks 5 times. It's kind of like another Rampage. Second Wind, replenish 15% toughness on a successful dodge. Enemies within, enemies without, replenish 2.5% toughness per second with while within 5 meters range of an enemy, increased to +1% per enemy. Monstrosities count as 5, max stack is 7.5%. Purge the Unclean, +20% increased damage against infested and unyielding enemies. Melee damage boost, and into Immolation Grenade. I mean, you can take any one of these if you want to. I just like the Immolation Grenade because it helps with crowd control situations and does quite a lot of damage to monstrosities as well. Then we have got Until Death. Fatal damage instead grants you invulnerability for 5 seconds, occurs every 12... Jesus Christ. Every 120 seconds or every 2 minutes. Thy Wrath be swift. Enemy melee attacks cannot stun you on taking damage, gain 15% movement speed for 2 seconds. We'll go through the middle here. Holy Revenant, when Until Death ends, you regain health based on the damage you dealt during Until Death to a maximum of 25% max health. Melee damage dealt heals for 3 times that amount. And then we've got Against the Odds. For every 2 enemies within 5 meters, gain 2% damage and 10% cleave, stacks 5 times. And Providence, 25% revive speed. In addition, allies you assist revive get 10% movement speed and 15% toughness damage reduction for 5 seconds. Then over here, we've got Good Balance. A successful dodge grants 25% damage reduction for 2.5 seconds. This is also why I'm using a lot of stamina regen on the gear, because a lot of these talents and nodes are like increased on dodge, on this and that. And it's just having the stamina there to do these things will keep you in the game longer and also just increase the amount of output you can do. And then we're over here on the left for Sustained Assault, plus 4% melee damage for 5 seconds on hitting an enemy with a melee attack, stacks 5 times. Into Desperation, up to 20% melee damage based on missing stamina. And then we've got Faithful Frenzy for 10% attack speed. And then we're going down here into Benediction, 15% toughness damage reduction for you and your allies in Coherency. You can pick any one of these, whichever one you fancy. They are all good. I just like a bit more defense as we haven't got much of that. And then into Toughness Boost, plus 25 toughness. Into Fury of the Faithful. Dash forward, replenishing 50% toughness and gaining 20% attack speed for 10 seconds. Your next melee hit gains plus 25% damage and has 100% rending, and it is a guaranteed critical hit. It's an incredibly unpleasant hit, that one. And then Unrelenting Fury, killing an elite or special within 5 seconds of using Fury of the Faithful restores 20% ability cooldown maximum once per use. And then Redoubled Zeal gives you 2 charges of it. With the amount of combat ability regeneration we have in the build and on the gear, you have a lot of uptime on this. And now we're going into the middle for our Keystone, Toughness Damage Reduction, and then we've got Martyr's Purpose. Up to 50% ability cooldown regeneration based on missing health, max reach at 25% current health. Bleed for the Emperor, damage that would take your health to the next wound is reduced by 40%. Restoring Faith, on taking damage, heal 20% of that damage, occurs over 4 seconds. Faith's of Fortitude, plus 2 wounds, and now we've got Martyrdom. A very, very misunderstood node, but is incredibly powerful. Plus 10% melee damage for each missing wound, up to a maximum of 5 missing wounds. And then we've got I Shall Not Fall. Martyrdom grants 7.5% toughness damage reduction per stack. Manic. Martyrdom grants plus 6% attack speed per stack. And Restorative Verse, Martyrdom grants 5% toughness replenishment per stack. Now, every time I have posted the Martyrdom build, there is always somebody who argues with me in the comments saying that, oh, Martyrdom builds are terrible because they only work when things are going to hell, and, you know, it's like it's an oh crap button. No, it's not. You want to take as much damage early on as you can, and then take no more damage for the rest of the run. You want to lose 3 to 5 of these wounds, depending on how confident you are in the build, very early to damage that you can control. So basically, you stand in front of something and just go, yeah, hit me a little bit. Then you murder it and go crazy for the rest of the run. Martyrdom is not a build that only works when things are going to crap in the game or on the run. Yeah, it's not an oh crap button. You want to take the damage early and then take no more damage for the rest of the run. It's a very high risk reward build, because you have to take that damage to basically have all of your Martyrdom keystones working. So yeah, it's if anyone ever tells you that it's only good for that, you say Zug says you're a goddamn liar and a dick. But there you go. It's a Martyrdom build for you. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please do like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And I shall see you all for the next build. So until then, take it easy, and I shall see you later.